foundation for the next topics that we will cover. So yesterday we were discussing about workbook and worksheet management, and we discussed how important those concepts are, especially if you want to work in a structured way, or if you want to build a good MIS and WFM infrastructure. So with that being said, today we will cover a different thing. So we will introduce now contact center analytics. So we'll go through what a contact center is, what a BPO is, what does a contact center do. I believe those are the things you also know, but we shall just go through them. Perhaps there are one or two things that maybe you might not be knowing. And if you already know, it will just be an add-on to add more knowledge to what you know.
Fred, pole for
Yes,
interrupting. Olivia haingi ama?
Olivia isn't joining today. She had
Oh.
stated that yesterday. I believe today she is in the evening shift. So this class I'm recording. So I'll share the recording. Perhaps she'll go through the recording, and maybe where she'll be stuck, she'll be free to reach out to us or even one of you, because so we are all in class, right?
Yeah.
So one important thing is whenever you are learning, when you teach another person, that concept usually sticks with you. So you can take it as one way of putting your knowledge into use so that it can stick in you. So let me share my screen. So hope my screen is visible from my end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So when you hear about contact center or a BPO, what comes into your mind? What does a call center do, and what does a BPO do? Any guessworks? Start with Violet and then Agnes.
I can say for contact center, I can give an example of POA, where the customers literally, there are people who act as intermediaries between the business and the customers. So they are the ones who are there to be able to assist in running the business, generally more of answering the questions. And then a BPO is like a company within a company. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Okay, that's good attempt, Violet. And for contact center, you got it. So for BPO is, yeah, almost there, but we shall define it. So let's move to Agnes. What is your opinion regarding what a contact center is, and also what a BPO is?
For contact center, it's I think it's just where and or rather we just deal with the customers, usually like responding to emails, calls, search and social media chats. And then for people, it's an outsourced customer care now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good attempt as well. So whenever you hear about a contact center, think of it as a place where agents are handling customer interactions. And those interactions can be coming through various channels. So we have the voice channels like telephony, and then we have the non-voice channels such as the emails, the chat, social media, SMS, and others. So just as you had said, Violet, it acts as the frontline interface between the business and its customers. That is, the organization and its customers. So it's like a brand that links the company to its customers. So just to define it officially, it is an operation where customer interactions are handled through various communication channels. And we've mentioned what those channels are, and we've reiterated that it acts as the front line interface between an organization and its customers. So that is the definition of a contact center. And then when we talk about a BPO, think of it as delegating an core business function to a third party. So for instance, you work in power. So customer service is not a key function of power. So the key function for power maybe is selling the internet, right? So power can decide to delegate the customer service function to a BPO, that's a third party, or a certain vendor in order to handle customer inquiries. So that is the meaning of BPO. So you should think of it as an outsourced service. And that service is a non-core service to the business, right? So for instance, you could be running a facility like an hospital, for example. But now, if customer inquiries become many, you might find that you are constrained internally to handle efficiently all the customer inquiries. So you look for a vendor or a third party that can offer that service for you. So we can think also of a contact center as a subset of a BPO because uh, contact center itself is a service that you are offering to our customer. You are handling interactions, and that in itself can be one of the subset of a BPO. So whenever you hear a contact center, it's also a type of a BPO that deals with customer interactions. Hope I'm clear to that point. So, and the purpose of a contact center is to provide customer support and service that we've talked about. And then, apart from that, we have the second function, which is handle sales and revenue generating calls. So we have various types of contact centers. We have contact centers that handle inbound campaigns, and we have contact centers that do outbound campaigns. So whenever you hear a contact center is handling an activity like sales or making calls in order to generate revenue, so what should click on your mind is that they are handling an outbound campaign. So they are making phone calls to customers in order to generate leads or sales or increase sales. So that's another function of a contact center. In your scenario, maybe at BPO, you can think of it like a service like the retention team making calls to customers, right? So that they can retain them. And also we have the telesales team making calls or generating leads from customers that eventually will convert to actual uh, leads or actual customers to the business. And then we have the third function of a contact center as offering technical assistance. So this is almost same as providing customer support and service. But in this regard, when we talk about technical assistance, these are maybe those issues that cannot be handled by the regular customer support team. So you can think of it as tech ops, that is technical operations. And then we have process and information. So this is with regard to handling tickets. So whenever customers are calling into the center, they raise tickets or complaints, that is claims, or they can make orders. So it's the function of a contact center to process that information. And the fifth purpose of a contact center is to act as the central communication touchpoint for an organization. Yeah, so in a nutshell, those are roles or that is the purpose of a contact center. And then we have various types of contact centers, as I had mentioned before. We have mainly three types of contact centers. So we have inbound contact centers that only handle incoming calls and chats or even emails. And then we have, they normally provide a service support or queries, handle queries coming from what? From customers. And then said we also have outbound contact center. So this mainly is to make outbound calls. And the main aim is normally to generate sales or generate leads and maybe to make follow-ups. So you might find in a contact center, yes, a customer called in, but that customer wasn't assisted fully when he reached the center. So we might be forced to make an outbound call to that customer just to make a follow-up, right? So you might be making follow-up to maybe know whether they were satisfied uh, with the service or not. And then we have contact centers that are a blend of both inbound and outbound. So those we simply call them blended contact centers, whereby they handle both inbound and outbound campaigns. So that is classification of contact center based on how they operate. And we do have a second classification based on business model. So business model means, for instance, if I'm running a company, I can decide to outsource the customer service function to a vendor or a third party. So that will fall under the classification of an outsourced contact center. And that outsourced contact center is normally run by a, a BPO or a vendor. And then we have in-house. In-house, that means even though that customer service function isn't core to the business, but we have an in-house team that is handling customer inquiries, and that is normally operated by the company itself. So the case for POA, that is an in-house contact center because you haven't outsourced that service. And then we have a hybrid. A hybrid is simply a mixture of the two. You can have an in-house contact center and an outsourced contact center as well. So, but majorly, the first two normally exist, either an in-house contact center or an outsourced contact center. And then, having known what a contact center is, the purpose of a contact center, and the various types of contact centers and how they are classified, it's now important to know the ecosystem or the environment in a contact center. So in a contact center, you'll find you have so many departments that support each other. And those departments should be in sync. They should work collaboratively in order to achieve a common goal. Then knowing how each department interact with each other in the contact center environment is very critical, because whenever you are working as either an MIS or a WFM analyst, you must know how this department interrelate. But we'll just go through them and know the roles of each function and the key responsibilities or activities of each. So we have the customer support or the customer service. So this is most critical in a contact center, because earlier we said it's the face of the company, how the company interacts with its customers. So the primary function is to handle customer queries and complaints. So, and the key activities normally include billing inquiry, general support, customer guidance, and so on. Then apart from the customer service or support department, we have the technical support. So technical support normally handles escalations. So there are some troubleshootings that cannot be achieved at a first instance by the customer service team. So normally they handle escalations from the customer service or support team in order to support those with those issues. So they normally deal with troubleshootings, then system support, and also issue escalations. We have the sales and the telemarketing department. So think of it as the revenue drivers uh, in a contact center. So you'll find that this department is the one that is normally making the outbound calls. So they're making the outbound calls in order to get more leads, either to upsell products and also cross-sell them, or making follow-ups. And then we have the QA. QA is also very important. So the role of QA is to ensure service quality and compliance. So what they typically do is called monitoring, evaluations, feedback, and compliance checks. So assuming you are in the contact center environment and you are the QA, so you will be pulling call logs for various agents and know whether, determine whether the agents offered quality service to their customers. So you'll be going through the calls, going through the various metrics on how they perform, and later give them an average score based on their scoring in various parameters. We have now the WFM, that is the workforce management. So this is a very critical department in any contact center. It's the department that deals with the people. So it ensures that we have the correct staffing and schedules. So their role majorly involves forecasting. So we do forecast, we do scheduling, real time appearance, doing shrinkage analysis, and also service level tracking. Those are some of the key responsibilities or activities done by the WFM team. And then apart from that, we have the MIS team, that is Management Information System. So the role of MIS is to convert raw data into reports and insights. So think of it as an information center within the contact center environment. And what they normally do on a day-on-day basis is to do data collection, prepare reports and dashboards, and then also view performance as well. And then apart from the MIS, we have training and learning development. So in some companies, you might find that, yes, we have the QA department, but we also have the training and learning department. So the role of this department is to build agent skills and product knowledge. So this one trains agents in terms of the knowledge on products. For instance, in PO, if we had a training and learning development department, it could be responsible for maybe training agents on products, that is the internet, how you troubleshoot the packages that you do offer to your customers, and so on. So that falls under the training and learning department. And they also deal with onboarding. So whenever we have new recruits, it's the responsibility of the training and learning department to take on that task. They also do refresher training and coaching. So coaching can also be done by the QA and also training as well. And then we have the IT or the system support. So this is responsible for maintaining the technology infrastructure in a company. So the major activities is telephony support, CRM, ticketing maintenance, system uptime, and so on. So I believe when I'm explaining this, you're trying to relate with regards to the environment in which you are working in. All these departments. Is that correct, Violet and Agnes?
Yes,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
listening.
Yeah. And then we do also have the HR department. So The role of the HR department is to manage people and also the policies. So it is responsible for recruitment, performance management, and employee relations. Last but not least, we have the back office or the processing department. So this is responsible for handling non-customer facing tasks. So for instance, you might find they are handling things to do with data entry, documenting processes, or claims handling. Yeah, so those are the various departments that you can find in a contact center. So if you go to any contact center, uh, those are the possible departments that you can ever find. So unless maybe one department that I'm forgetting maybe is the software and development team, which is normally separate from the IT system support. So in case for Paul, think of it as the product team, which is responsible for developing products. So also take note of that. So with that being said, with regards to various departments in a call center, uh, let's go to now WFM, which is really interesting. WFM and MIS, which is also as to why we are here. So when we talk of WFM or MIS, these are very critical departments in a contact center environment. So majorly, they are responsible to ensure that we are having the right number of agents, and also we are having information flowing consistently to all departments for decision making. So these two departments, WFM is the department that always focuses on planning. Planning entails how many heads do we need, that is how many agents do we need to have in order to handle the projected volumes, that is the forecast. So WFM is responsible for coming up with the forecast and also the schedules. And then they are also responsible for monitoring the workforce in order to meet service levels. In a nutshell, that is what WFM does. When we go to MIS, so MIS is it mainly deals with collecting, processing, and reporting operational and performance data for decision making. So both of these departments, they normally work hand in hand in order to optimize productivity and efficiency and also customer satisfaction. So you can think of MIS as a link between the agents, the business, and the customers. So when you're having a Venn diagram, you can see that WFM and MIS, it sits at the intersection of each. So let me just explain how that works. So whenever you have a WFM in connection with the business itself, so what the business is afraid of is it's afraid of the high cost of hiring, having so many people in the call center who are not uh, active. So the business is responsible for hiring budget and also on the salaries of the headcounts that we do have. So it's the role of WFM to advise the business on hiring needs. So without WFM being there, so the business won't be able to make informed decision with regards to hiring and staffing, which implies their budgeting cost can go up or it can be low. It can go up at the expense of having so many heads, that is agents in the contact center, who might not be necessarily driving the performance. You see, so we have heads that are underutilized. And another aspect with regards to WFM and the business itself is, for instance, when the company does not want to hire. So that is at the expense of the customers, because you're offering poor service. You don't want to hire people that will enable the company to handle various customer inquiries, and that is a risk to the business as well. So that is how WFM interacts with the business. And then when we come to how WFM is interacting uh, with agents, so just make sure that whenever you're serving customers, we have balanced schedules. We have schedules that are optimal, that are fair enough, that will ensure that you are working without uh, exhaustion. So it's just to strike a balance. So think of WFM as being there to balance the needs of these three parties. That is the business, the agents, and also the customers. So when we talk of MIS, MIS is feeding to WFM, because without MIS, WFM cannot function. So for instance, when you are doing forecasting, you need an MIS analyst come up with accurate data, and then after getting that accurate data is when you can build your forecast. So just as I've said, the two departments or the two functions are really very important, and they cannot work separately. So let us just go through what WFM and MIS does. So the role of WFM is to ensure we have optimal staffing to meet service demand. That's the first role. And then it's there to reduce wait times and improve service levels, minimize agent idle time and overtime costs, provide accurate forecast and schedules, and track real-time adherence and performance. So those are the main objectives or roles of WFM. So that is to ensure that we have optimal staffing. And I know you understand the meaning of the term optimal. So that is, we should not be overstaffed nor understaffed. You know what the impact of overstaffing has to the business. That is, it is costly to the business in terms of salaries that you have to pay. Understaffing is at the expense of the customers as well, which is also dangerous to the business. So the goal is to make sure we have optimal staffing that can be able to meet the service demand. And then the goal of WFN is also to drive service levels. So service level is just a yardstick used to measure how the agents interact with the customer and whether that is happening within the set thresholds. If we say that customer interaction should be handled in less than 4 minutes, it should be strictly less than 4 minutes. If we say that calls should not wait on queue for more than 30 seconds, that should be the target. So we should not exceed the 30 seconds. When we say that we should aim or we should strive to handle all calls at FCR, that should be adhered to. So the WFM is there to ensure that all that is met. And then it's also crucial to know that WFM is there to make sure that we are not having overtime costs in terms of agent working overtimes, maybe agents working during holidays. So that is stress. So we are there to manage that and ensure that the business does not incur extra cost in terms of idle time and also agents are working for overtime. I'm also doing accurate forecast and schedules preparation. This is key to the business because without doing forecast, we won't be able to know the volumes that can come into the center. So we do projections. After doing projections is when now we do come with the schedules. So all this falls under capacity planning in contact center in workforce. So the role of WFM here is come up with optimal capacity plans that can be able to handle the demand. And then after doing that, preparing forecast, coming up with schedules is now to track the real-time operations now in terms of real-time adherence. How is the team conforming to the schedules? Are we following the schedules well? Are we really where we planned ourselves to be? So if there is deviation to the schedules, WFM need to make changes or need to adapt with because sometimes you might yes forecast, but situations do come in play. This is unforeseen circumstances. Maybe at the beginning of the month we had built a forecast, and then maybe at the middle of the month we are running a campaign. Let's say a sales campaign, and we know the impact of this sales campaign can trigger many calls coming into the contact center. So there we need to adjust so that we are in a capacity to handle those calls due to the impact of this campaign. So in a nutshell, that is what WFM do. Then the MIS now, their core objective is to collect data from call logs, CRM, ticketing systems. So think of MIS as people who are there to collect information. So, and this information nested in the systems. So, for instance, if you have a system, let's say like Genesis, a system like a CRM like Zendesk, a system like Zoho, again, which is also a CRM tool, ACD system like CCS. So it's the role of MIS to go to the system, collect the data. It can be data for the call logs. It can be data from the customer interactions or from the ticketing system. So that's one of their core objective. So after doing that, they now do data analysis and prepare reports on key performance indicators. So those indicators are like AHT, CSAT, and FCRs. And we do have so many KPIs that MIS do. Like this is just a few of them. And then after preparing reports, is there that role is to support decision making actionable insights. Yes, they have come up with it, but their role is to come and tell us what is working and what is not working. So their role is to inform us where the plan is deviating. For instance, if we had forecasted calls maybe at a particular date, maybe in the evening intervals, let's say we had projected more calls will be coming into the center. Yes, we had projected that, but during that day, we don't have those volumes during those intervals. So it's the role of the MIS to come and dig into that and identify why did the plan fail. So we were expecting high call volumes, but we received low call volumes. What could be the driver behind this? Is it that we had something that happened? Did we have an IT problem, or did we have any demographical change that could have impacted customer behavior? That's why we are not getting calls. So you can think of MIS as people who provide insights to the business and also providing insights to WFM. And once they provide those insights, it's the role of WFM not to adjust. So if, for instance, we had the scenario I've just highlighted, you are expecting many calls, but few came. So WFM, MIS will report to WFM. So and if that trend persists, now WFM will say, now let us adjust the plans for the evening intervals. Let us reduce the number of agents who we were expecting to work during those intervals, maybe by 2 or by 3, and bring those agents to the day shift. So you see how now MIS is supporting WFM in that aspect. And then we have now another role uh, of WFM is to identify trends, gaps, and operational issues that are impacting the contact center performance. So another role is to help the management to the efficiency and performance of the contact center. So let's imagine the CEO wants to know how the contact center is operating. Who do you think he or she will come to? Most definitely come to MIS, because MIS have the insights, they have all the data on how the contact center is operating. So most definitely it's the MIS who will be able to provide that information. Hope we are together up to that point.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So with that being said, with regards to the roles of the FM and MIS, um, let us now see in general how this department are really crucial to a call center or a BPO. So when we look in terms of service efficiency, with regard to WFM is to ensure that we are having proper staffing. at all times. Proper staffing. So you can imagine if, for instance, we do not have proper staffing in our call center. So that means customer issues will go unresolved. That is that is if we are understaffed. If we are overstaffed, the implication will be to the business in terms of high salaries, high operation cost, in terms of managing the headcount that we have, that is overstaffed headcount. So in terms of efficiency, when we also look at MIS, so their role is to measure and report service performance. That is how they ensure service efficiency. That is reporting on service performance. So when you look at the aspect of decision making, so WFM is responsible for providing scheduling insights. For scheduling insights that I talked about, and MIS, on the other hand, is responsible for providing performance data insights. The other aspect is cost management. So you can think in terms of WFM is to reduce overtime and idle time. And then MIS, they help to track those operational costs. In terms of customer experience, WFM is responsible for minimizing wait times. MIS is there to monitor KPIs like CSAT, FCR, and response time. In terms of resource optimization, WFM is there to balance workload across agents, and MIS is there to highlight under stroke underperforming areas. So in a nutshell, when you look at those uh, 4 or 5 aspects of WFM and MIS, that is how important they are in a call center. So had earlier mentioned how WFM relies on MIS. So we said WFM is dependent on MIS for accurate data in order for them to be able to forecast service demand and generate schedules that are optimal. And then we said MIS, on the other hand, is relying on WFM to understand the operation metrics and adherence patterns. So together, this department aim to improve forecasting accuracy. Also, it aims to enable proactive management of service levels and supporting continuous performance improvement. So when we visualize this in terms of a chart or a flow chart, we can see how the two departments are relating. So this is the data input uh, done by the MIS team. So they are responsible for data collection. They collect data either from call distributor system, ticketing system, or CRM system. They do what is called data analysis. And then after doing data analysis, they do what is called reporting. So that reporting is to achieve manage intraday management. So this intraday management feeds into forecasting and scheduling. and the circle repeats itself, as you can see here. So that's how WFM and MIS are interrelated. So they are complementary pillars. So they complement one another. So WFM ensuring right agents are available at the right time and also at the right place, while MIS is providing the intelligence needed to make informed decisions. So together they aim to drive efficiency and effectiveness and ensure customer satisfaction. So this is another view that we had talked about earlier on how WFM and MIS is interacting with other departments. So you can see WFM and MIS interacting with the operation team. So think of WFM and MIS interacting with maybe the contact center manager who is responsible for the day-to-day operation of the contact center. WFM interacting with team leaders in order to manage performance. Think of WFM and MIS interacting with the HR department. So the HR department is responsible for hiring. Yes, MIS will do the analysis, give insights to WFM. WFM concludes we are understaffed. What do we need to do? We need to hire. So WFM reaches out to the HR. So WFM tells HR, we are understaffed by this headcount. Let's say 5. So we need to hire 5 extra heads, right? That's how WFM and MIS are interacting with the HR department. Then you can think of WFM and MIS. Let's say MIS comes with a report. We have noted that over the past week, we've not been meeting our service level. Then WFM says, oh, we are short-staffed because we are planning to have certain number of agents during this day at this particular shift, but we have less agents. And then WFM notes we have so many sick leaves, so many people are absent or are calling in sick. So WFM reaches to the HR department, requests for HR documentation for the sick, for those people who called in sick, whether they were genuine sick offs or not. So HR gives feedback to WFM and MIS, those sick offs who are not genuine. So WFM now takes action, goes to the operations, to the contact center manager. These operations, your agents are taking sick leaves or sick offs which are not valid, right? Now the contact center picks it up, goes to the team leaders. Then team leaders picks up with the respective agents. Another aspect, WFM notes, MIS is telling WFM, hey, here we are having an impact in terms of maybe service level. Then WFM looks into the schedules and notes that what we schedule so many leaves during this period or during this week. And then the WFM decides to reach to the HR now on the leave balances of agents, whether now some leaves can be denied or some leaves can be accepted maybe for the future planning. And then MIS notes that we do not have calls are not handled within FCR. Then it links to WFM. Then WFM now picks up with the training and training and that is learning and development team or the training department are telling them that calls are not being handled within FCR. Is there training need to agents? Then the training department tells WFM, give us a sample of agents who did not achieve FCR. Then WFM goes to MIS. MIS prepares a report for those agents who did not meet FCR, sends that to WFM. WFM shares to training. Same applies to quality assurance, right? So also can uh, look at WFM and MIS, how they are relating to finance. So finance is dependent on WFM and MIS. Let's say when we are tracking our managing overtime costs, let's say things like toils, WFM manages toils. If they accumulate so much, that will be a cost to the business. And especially it will touch on finance department. So WFM and MIS have to work hand in hand in order to advise the finance departments on how overtime and toils are being managed in order to reduce the cost. Then when we look at all this, also interact with IT department. So IT, let's say we've come up to this point and we've identified none of the issues are agent related. So we decide now to go to IT. So IT now are responsible for maintaining the general infrastructure in the contact center. So they work on the systems to ensure that agents are having smooth operation whenever they are at work. So that's how you can picture the WFM and MIS, how they are linking with other departments. Hope we are on the same page up to that point. And I hope
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
hope the explanation is understood. So that being said, how WFM MIS is interacting with other departments, we shall go to basic terminologies that are normally used in a call center. So whichever call center you will go, or whichever region it's operating in, we have common terminologies that are being used in a contact center. So the first term is contact center, which we define. So it is a centralized office or platform where customer interactions occur via multiple channels. So, and channels I said can be either phone, email, chat, social media, etc. Then we said um, a call center is a subset of a contact center focused mainly on phone calls. So hope you are paying attention to the difference between the two. Difference between a contact center and a call center. So the difference you can just depict from this. This is call and it specifically deals with phone calls alone. So it's a subset of a contact center that is mainly dealing with phone calls. But a contact center is like it's dealing with all of them: phone calls, emails, chats, social media, and so on. That's the difference between the two. So another term that you might encounter in a contact center or call center is agent or CSR. Most definitely you hear people saying CSR, that is customer service representative. That is the person handling customer interactions. And then Q, this is also the most common term whenever you are working in a contact center. So it is a virtual line where customer request wait until an agent is available. So you can have an inbound queue, you can have an outbound queue, and so on. So it's just a virtual line where a customer requests wait until an agent is available. So that's the meaning of queue. And then we have skill-based routing. So what skill-based routing means, it means assigning customer request to agents with specific skill required. So think of skill-based routing as mapping your agents with regards to their specialty. That is the areas they are good at. So you assign those agents to handle specific kind of customer requests that are coming in to the center. So you might have maybe agents, maybe who are handling customers, maybe those whose language is Swahili alone. Then have those whose language is English or other languages. So that's just an example of skill-based routing. Then we have IVR. So IVR in full is interactive voice response, whereby it is an automated phone menu that directs callers to the right department or information without speaking to an agent. So let's say all agents are engaged and all of them, let's say, are busy and a customer calls. So as that call is waiting on the queue, it might land on an IVR. So a customer may stay on IVR before speaking to the real agent. So that is the meaning of IVR. So those were basic terms that are used in a contact center. Let's move further to call handling metrics term. So when you hear of AHT, that is average time an agent spends on a call. So and it normally includes talk time and after call work time. So you are talking to a customer. That time that you are taking when you are addressing the customer issue is what is called AHT. So in some cases, it's a sum of that time, that's talk time, plus now the after call work. Sum them, you get the AHT. We have average speed of answer. So this is the time it takes a call to be answered by an agent. Let's say a call rings. So it waits on a queue maybe for 5 seconds before an agent picks it. So that duration, that 5 minutes duration is what we call the average speed of answer. When you hear of FCR, that is fast call resolution, that is the average time it takes for a call to be answered by an agent. So think of it as when a customer interacts with an agent, was the issue resolved at first contact? Yes or not? If the issue was addressed at first contact, then that is an FCR. If the issue required a follow-up after that interaction, that is a non-FCR. So I hope you've noted the difference of the two. So whenever a call is resolved at the first contact, we say that FCR has been achieved. If not, we say FCR has not been achieved. And this metric is usually very important. It normally highlights the efficiency of CSR in resolving customer inquiries. So if we have so many non-FCR, that is, many calls requiring a follow-up, then that will raise an alarm. Either we have a product knowledge gap issue that the agents are struggling with, in that a follow-up call has to always be made because the issue was not resolved at the first contact. So that is the meaning of FCR. Then we have occupancy. So whenever you hear of occupancy in a contact center, think of it as the percentage of time an agent spends actively handling calls versus the idle time. So, for instance, if you logged in for an 8-hour shift, then the actual time you spent on calls is 5 hours. So your occupancy will be 5/8, and it's normally calculated as a percentage. So this excludes the time that you are on break, that is either lunch break or tea break, or the time that you spend doing non-call related activities. Maybe you are training, maybe you are doing coaching, and so on, or any scheduled meeting that is not core to their business. So that's what we mean by occupancy. And this metric is normally very important, and it's normally measured in terms of the production hours. How productive were you? That is, how many hours were you productive? How many hours did you spend doing call related activities? That will define your occupancy. So a higher occupancy normally implies that the agents are really engaged, and it implies that the contact center is busy and calls are coming in back to back. That is, agents are uh, engaged uh, most of their times. So we normally have a target. So occupancy should not be that high or low. So when it's too high, it means the agents or the CSR will suffer burnout. That is because calls are coming in back to back. Agents do not have even time to rest. You see? So that high occupancy is bad as well. So we aim to achieve an optimal balance between low and high. So also when occupancy is up, is low, let's say it's low, it means the agents are not engaged. Yes, they are logged in into the queue, but they are not handling calls. So that could signify maybe volumes have dropped, or there could be an issue because idle time, it, it could imply yes, calls are coming, but agents are not handling them, or there are no calls at all. So it means that we'll have huge avail. So available time will be, and those metrics are what WFM and MIS normally track. Is to ensure that occupancy isn't that high as much and not again very low. So most often you'll find that occupancy, uh, the industry standard is normally 80%, but depending on the nature of contact center, it might vary from one contact center to another. You might find other people doing 60% in terms of occupancy, others doing 70, and others doing 80%, which is the industry standard. So anything above 80% is not healthy. So maybe we can have agents now recording burnouts, and we know the implications of burnouts. We might start receiving silly calls, many of them, and this will also have a significant impact on performance. We have shrinkage as another term that is normally used in contact center. So whenever you hear of shrinkage, think of it as time lost due to breaks, training, meetings, or absenteeism. And this affects what workforce availability. Yes, we had prepared our plans, but simply our performance is not good. Let's now start looking at shrinkage. How many times or how many hours were lost on breaks? So if we lost many hours on break, could it be the main driver that is making us have a hit in our performance? Then shrinkage can also be in terms of training. Yes, if we dropped in performance, we'll go and check. Were there any training that have been scheduled? Yes, if there were training, then we can attribute the decline in performance to training. If we had meetings, again, that also contribute to shrinkage. Also, absenteeism. So you can look at absenteeism as either the agent was absent or the agent called in sick. That is in terms of sick off. So that is an absenteeism. If we have many absenteeism, it means the shrinkage will go up. So we have two types of shrinkages, that is planned and unplanned shrinkage. So planned shrinkage is what WFM are normally planned in advance, and they normally incorporate that in schedules. So when you talk about things like leave is a planned shrinkage. When you hear uh, things to do like emergency leaves, uh, paternal leave, maternity leave, all of them are part of planned shrinkage, and uh, that can be anticipated in advance. But unplanned shrinkage is that lost hours that we did not plan for. So we did not plan for meetings. We did not plan for agents to extend their breaks. We did not plan for training. So any hours that are lost due to those factors, they fall under unplanned shrinkage. And then apart from that, you might find in some places unplanned shrinkage being called in office shrinkage. So in office shrinkage, this is time that is lost when the agents are actually at work. It doesn't mean they were absent. So when you see hours lost in terms of breaks, hours lost in terms of training and meetings, and hours lost in terms of maybe system issues like they're not answering incidences, those falls under unplanned in office shrinkage. Hope on the same page up to that point.
Yes.
Then when we move further, we have contact quality and customer experience. So this contact center terminology, I divided them, I categorized them into uh, various categories. So we have the basic terms, we have the call handling metrics, we have now the contact quality and customer experience. So when you talk about CSAT, this is customer satisfaction score, and it is a metric that is used to measure customer satisfaction with a specific interaction. So this is normally done after the customer has received assistance or after the resolution of an inquiry has been done. So the customer gives the rating of the service. So that is called the CSAT, either on a scale of 1 to 5. How would you rate the quality of service that you received? And then an agent, the customer gives maybe a 10 score. So that is what is called the CSAT. We have NPS. So NPS normally measures the customer loyalty. When you see a survey going to customer requesting the customer on how likely are they to recommend maybe a certain company product to other customers. So when you hear of that, just think of it as NPS. So it's trying to measure customer loyalty. So just as said, so normally it's normally given a rating from 1 to 10. So how likely are they uh, to recommend our company products to other customers? So that is NPS. And we normally have various categories of NPS. So you might have customers who are passive, that is the scores that uh, imply that the customer is passive, or we have the scores that give neutral, and the scores that give positive. So those are the net promoter score. That's the meaning. But also, I find in other terms that these NPS can also be categorized in different form as either promoters. So maybe a score of maybe 8 to 10 will be classified to a customer being likely to comment our product to others. Maybe a score of, let's say, between 5 and 6 can be passive. See, so we have various categories for NPS. And then when we look at quality monitoring, so this reviews the agent interactions to ensure service standards are met. These are just like QA. And then adherence, how closely agents stick to their assigned schedule. It's also among one of the contract quality and customer experience. But the most common ones is CSAT and FPS. So when we move to workforce management, uh, common terms is WFM, and you know what WFM do? Process of forecasting, scheduling, and managing staff to meet service levels. We have MIS, that is reporting systems that provide insights on performance metrics and operational data. When you hear of forecast, think of it as projections or predictions. So you are projecting or predicting future call volumes in order to schedule the right number of agents. When you hear of schedule or a roster, that is a pre-planned timetable showing agent shifts and breaks. We have also real-time adherence. This is monitoring agents in real time to ensure they are following their schedules. So those are some of the terms that are used in WFM, though we'll interact with many terms as we go by. Then we have technical and system terms. So when you hear of CRM, so I don't know whether you know the meaning of CRM, but in full, it stands for Customer Relationship Management. So this is software that stores customer information and interaction history. And we'll delve deeper into this as we go on with our training. Ticketing system. This is a platform used to log, track, and resolve customer issues or requests. Think of it like Icon in your case. And then we have omni-channel. Do you know the meaning of omni-channel? So omni-channel means managing customer interaction across multiple channels in a seamless way. So think of omni-channel as phone or call, chat, SMS, social media, WhatsApp, all those channels grouped together, they are called omni-channel. Then we have ACD. ACD is automatic call distributor. So this is what distributes or routes incoming calls to the appropriate agents or departments. And then we have a chatbot. So chatbot is an AI-powered virtual assistant that handles basic customer queries automatically. Think of it as, for instance, you can be having a chatbot on WhatsApp, or you can be having an ICR that whenever a customer texts on any non-voice queue, so the first response that they get, it is from a chatbot, right? So it helps to manage the customer before they interact with the real agent. So we have performance and KPI terms. So when you hear of service level, think of it as percentage of calls answered within a target time. For instance, you can have an SL target of 80% and maybe an average speed of answer of 20 seconds. So this is normally contractual and it's different from company to company. So you can have one company doing 80% in terms of service level, other company doing 90 and others even 70. So it depends. So abandon rate is the number of calls that have been abandoned. And then throughput or volume, that is the number of calls or contacts handled in a specific period. And then we have backlog. This is the term that you normally hear. So this is the number of pending tickets or unresolved customer issues. And then we have ramp up and ramp down. So ramp up, it means increasing the workforce according to anticipated call volumes. And ramp down means decreasing the workforce according to anticipated call volumes. So if you hear that we are going to ramp up the evening queue maybe by a certain number, just know that we are increasing that number. When you hear we are going to ramp down, maybe the evening queue by this number, just know we are reducing or decreasing the headcount for the evening team. So ramp up and ramp down. So when you come across that term in a call center, just know means either increasing or decreasing. ACW, you might find someone telling you what was the ACW. That is, it stands for after call work. These are tasks that are done after a call. Like for instance, updating the records and doing call tagging. Normally, after a call, you have to tag it. So it falls under SCW, or it can also be called wrap up. Yes, a hand is up.
No, no, I was actually requesting to drop off. Sijafanya evaluations mob.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
No problem. No problem.
Okay.
You can drop off. Yeah. So even we are almost done. This is the
Oh,
actually the this is the end. Just 2 minutes. We
okay, let me
wrap up.
wait.
Yeah. So we are almost done. So I was talking about ACW, which stands for after call work. So these are tasks done after a call, like updating records. So in some terms, you might find that ACW is called wrap-up time. So we have auxiliary time. This time agents spend in on-call activities like breaks and training. TAT means turnaround time, that's self-explanatory. So KPI is key performance indicator, which is also a common term that is used in contact center. So this is just a visual representation of the terms that we've gone through, and it marks the end of introduction to contact center stroke BPO environment. So I'm hoping you enjoyed the lesson, and maybe you've gained new terminologies that maybe you did not know exist in a contact center. So tomorrow we will introduce this topic, that is data entry and formatting. And then, if possible, we can go to introduction to call loads and CRM spot. So we won't cover this because we've covered the KPIs that are used in contact center. And then maybe we can just go through the outbound KPIs since we didn't cover that. But for inbound, we've covered that. So let us preserve this for tomorrow, these two topics, if possible. And it seems for this week is when we'll be completing week one task, no problem. So after we're done, we'll go to week two. So with that being said, we'll wrap it there for today. It's 5 minutes past 9 a.m. Unless there is any question, any comment, I'll pause it there.